Jubilee before. They're a bipartisan. I honestly don't know, but they take both sides of a political spectrum, put them together, and to talk about their issues at least. That's my grasp. I don't really know too much. I've seen a couple other streamers cover them. So let's check out this video they have. Do all transgender people think the same? For their spectrum panel. PC screen. Yay. Oh, nice. It's got your picture for the slideshow right away. Okay, I'm gonna turn down the music. And let's see what they have to say.
Different sex are different, and one doesn't mean the other. Like, me having a penis does not make me a man, or does not make me less of a woman.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so I was thinking of a different setup they got.
Children are capable of understanding their gender identity. 3, 2, 1, go.
And I'm with them.
I was 6 years old, and I have a clear, vivid memory of telling a friend walking down the street, I think I would have been better off born a girl. And I had my whole family, like half my family, telling me, you can't be that. My friends telling me, you'll never be female. And a therapist telling me, like, oh, you'll never look female. Your hands are too big. Your voice is too low. And here I am, very female. Right. So I'd like to believe that I was right.
Yeah, I know when I was 7, I knew. But at the time, you know, that was a few years ago, and there really wasn't any source of information available. But I knew there was something different about me. So kids know young, and we need to not necessarily say, okay, switch everything over right now, but we need to give them space to grow and understand what it is.
Gender roles are necessary. 3,
Ooh.
2, 1, go.
Yes, Queen. Straight over to that edge.
Gender norms and gender constructs, like, growing up, they hurt me. They were like, you're a boy, you can't like dress up, you can't play with dolls. That just like made me like start to think that I wasn't made correctly or I wasn't right.
My view on gender roles as a whole is very based on my identity because like I'm non-binary. There's no like non-binary gender role, you know? There's like female and male, and then whatever's in between, you just kind of don't belong. I feel like not belonging, I'm like kind of building my own role, which is kind of weird, but like if it didn't exist at all, I wouldn't have to. No one would have to try and fit. Right. No one would have to build their own role. And that's like a lot of where my view on this like stems from.
Yeah.
I'd like to throw one more thing in. About
Yeah, I tend to agree with the people on the disagree side. Like, the gender roles are what we assign for, like, expectations for what? The genitals they have at birth. I mean, sure, even if we get rid of gender roles completely, like the abolishment of gender, that'd be awesome. There would still probably be people with higher testosterone levels going into the construction trades. I would see a correlation with that. But the fact that some people are expected to stay home and how was that? What was that saying? Barefoot and pregnant? Yeah, that's not really great. And then even forcing or instilling I'll go with that word. Instilling like men have to work and do all the labor shit. I don't think that's actually necessary for individuals. But, well, let's continue.
About gender roles and how hard I worked for 50 plus years trying to prove to the world I was the most masculine guy in the world. I spent a literal fortune buying every cool toy I could buy so I could go out and off-road better than anybody, fly an airplane better than anybody. I'll give you a hint, it doesn't work. It doesn't change who's inside
Yeah.
of you. And so that whole concept of, well, you have to be this kind of a
Yeah.
person or you're not whole is just wrong.
Well, okay, so as much as the gender roles are hurting by being so constricting, also that constriction is, a lot of that is what kind of helped me understand my trans identity. So the roles that are there, I didn't create them, but it exists. It exists. And I don't want it to exist in some of the ways that it does, but it does. Do I believe this should be widened? Yeah. So that's really what I've come to.
Gender reassignment
Okay.
surgery is necessary to be transgender. 3, 2, 1, go.
And I'll go slightly here. There we go. But it depends on the person. It very much depends
Oh,
on the person.
100%.
For me, it was
Yeah,
kind of important.
I'm with
it
you,
was just
Ashley.
Kind of the finishing
It is
step kind
not
of thing.
necessary.
But a lot of people don't need it. The social transitions, the personal transitions, and things that are much more important to people than the medical transition. But other people need that as a very important step to start their transition or finish their transition.
Before you have surgery, before you have
Yeah, I can sort of see where she's coming from, where she can agree where is necessary for some people, but I would stand with the rest of everybody saying it's not necessary for the broad group of all of us having to have it to be in the group. No. Yeah, I'm agreeing with some of the stuff she says as well.
have hormones, before you tell anybody, and maybe even before like you really have a grasp of like what it is you're experiencing, you can already be your gender. My gender was female from the point that I as a child developed a sense
Yeah, that's totally
gender.
where I'm coming
I
from.
still get asked like, oh, like when you had your surgery, do you feel like a woman now? And I was like, not any more than I did last week. I guess. Yeah.
For me, I could definitely like go without it and still be 100% happy, 100% like confident as a woman. But I think it's just kind of like a cherry on top and like what eventually I'm gonna need to like complete the whole circle.
Being physically female is not even in like the top 10 things that make me feel like a woman. Like me having a penis does not make me a man or does not make me less of a woman.
It's interesting to look at this. The young folks.
This gender is different from
And
genitalia.
that's what I've seen through the years is that it's less and less important to the young transgender people, but it still needs to be available.
100% needs to be available, but not enforced. Dating is difficult for me.
Dating is very hard. The only kind of people that I attract are people that want to like fetishize trans people. So they'll be like, like you're so hot. I want to do this and this and this with you. But then I'm like, oh, but like let's go out in public. Let's like go to dinner or something. They're like, ooh, I don't know about all that. Like I don't want my friends to know I'm dating someone like you. And it's like they feel like they have to come out as well as someone who's attracted to like a trans person.
I agree. It's confusing for them if they say like, oh, so am I like gay or something like that? And it's like, no, because I am attracted to straight men and like straight men are like attracted to me. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Like liking penis and liking vagina like doesn't make you gay or straight. It's like liking a man or liking a woman makes you gay or straight.
Exactly.
It's a little
Yeah, pretty
weird
much.
being like not a part of the binary, so people are really like, so what am I? What are you? Like, what is this?
Where do we fit together?
Yeah, it's kind of like I think I like you, but I don't know what I like. What is this? I'm like, if you like, then take. You know?
They just want to like
You're right,
they
go
want to
for
put like
it.
a label on everything.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I
sometimes we
think-
don't need that. You
I
know?
just think people need to stop with like, oh, I'm attracted to men, or like, oh, this. It's like, no, you're attracted to like a human being. You're attracted to a person.
I think it's a lot of it has to do with the sort of energy that people give off, or like not energy. I guess kind of that, like you're not necessarily attracted to every man, but you could be attracted to masculine presentation. So in the case of like a non-binary person, who really gives a shit what they want to use for the pronouns, It's just attraction to somebody. I don't know if I clarified anything there. That's what weed does to you. Good times.
Risk to being transgender.
Yep, 100%.
2, 1, go.
Six to
Transitioning
94.
is dangerous.
Yeah,
Transitioning
100%.
is not easy. Like I've been beaten. I've had death threats.
Oh, yeah,
I've had
totally.
sexual assault.
I
Someone
totally agree,
threatened me
Ash.
with that. And I'm privileged in this community because of my race or because I transitioned younger. And the biggest problem is that trans women of color are the ones being murdered in this country. That, like, trans people of color are the ones at risk. And this is the real issue that people need to know about. But like, it is totally worth it because there's no life outside of this.
That's definitely real. That's real. So the fear of violence from others, yes, that's a risk. But I don't know. There's risks playing the stock market. There's a risk when you eat that McDonald's. Everything's a risk, nowadays. But I feel like what's really worth it was my mental health. That's not a risk I'm willing to take because that's the real death.
I was about to make that point. Thank you, Savior.
My body. 3, 2, 1,
Ooh.
go.
Yeah, we'll go on.
I'm mostly agree personally.
Yeah, in my case, I really agree because this is the body I got. And one of the biggest things I did for myself was all during my cross-dressing days. I used to put on all the crazy foundation wear, trying to squeeze myself into something that I didn't fit in. And I looked at myself one day and I said, you look as good as X number of regular women. Have I made a few changes? Yes, but that doesn't change the fact that I love who I am and what my physical presence is.
It's just so hard. It's so hard because like being told
I
like
agree,
women
Ash.
have this and women look like this.
I'm
and
in the
women,
same
women,
place.
and it's like, then I don't look like that. So I must hate my body then because my body is what keeps me from looking like a woman. But then I like get out of that like toxic mindset and I'm just like, wait. I am a woman.
I wish I had said strongly agree, but that's not the truth. And
Right.
the truth is that I love my mind, I love my life, but there are days that I have where my self-esteem issues are so bad that I can't leave the room. And I almost didn't even go to my college graduation because I was like, I'm not female enough to graduate college or something. And all that being said, I
Yeah.
have no regrets, though,
Yeah.
is the
Been
thing.
there.
Because if I hadn't transitioned, I just wouldn't have a life at all.
Sometimes
Oh, yeah.
I wish I wasn't transgender. 3, 2, 1, go.
Literally me. Literally.
I think I'll
No.
I often have told people that, this is not something I would wish purposefully on my worst enemy. It's not pleasant. You go through all sorts of interesting changes. It cost me my spouse that I love dearly, but it was so important to me that it had to happen that I'm pleased that I did it. It's the best thing I've ever done in my life, but it's also something I'd never wish on anybody else on purpose.
For me, I'm disagreeing because it's not the fact that I'm trans that I don't like. It's the discrimination that I face that I don't like. The intersections that I hold, being black, being trans, you find like discrimination comes at you in different ways. And so that's really what I could do without.
Yeah, I think the main thing that
God
I
damn,
just,
I'm
like,
relating
hate,
to these
like
people.
everyone else is saying, is the discrimination because it's the fact that like, oh, if I'm in a certain situation or oh, I'm somewhere, like I have to worry about my safety for like literally being like who I am in that sense. And it's like nobody should have to worry about like whether they're gonna like make it through something just for like being themselves.
So true.
Yeah, fun fact, on the streets of Canada, I was given a death threat for answering woman to the question, are you a man or a woman? Yeah, that was last year, in 2020. I don't think he actually could have gone through with it. He seemed really small, and I'm like 6 foot tall Amazon, but still, that mindset is out there, even in progressive cities. It's not as common, but still, it's there.
Obviously, I don't think this will ever like go away fully, but as I was like coming out, it like, I would like have times where I was like, God, I wish I wasn't like this. Like, I wish I wasn't trans because then like my life would be easier. I wish I was born a woman, or I wish that I was just like comfortable being male. And then I realized that like if I was born a female, like I wouldn't be a part of the LGBTQ community. I wouldn't have gone through the struggles that I have gone through, and like I would be a completely different person. And I love who I am, and so I don't think I would want to change that. And I'm proud to be trans.
That was pretty nice.
Time for the Gina selfie.